So in today's class we'll be figuring out कि हमें material layering कैसे काम करनी है. Okay. Earlier we were using your normal layering for this layer stacking. Okay. Material layering में difference क्या है? The material layering uses your mask. Okay. So every mask contains different layers of set. Also, why is it useful is sometimes when you have to, let's say, import this model into Unreal Engine, okay, with its textures. So instead of having only one texture file, you have multiple texture files for multiple materials. So this way is mostly used for combining different materials, as we have used in Maya in past classes. Okay, there was something where we were working with different layers of materials. Okay, we were combining it there. So now let's just import this model again. Okay, I guess the file have been already saved. New file. Okay, we have this model here. So by default, whenever you see something, okay, you see that the texture set list is there, which contain its UVs. Okay, so on these 3D texture files, okay, the layer base is here and the texture set list is there. So before we start anything, we first have to bake it. Okay, so we'll be baking it from here, selecting only the things that we needed and increasing the definition. This. Okay, I'm just simply increasing the quality for this one, not changing any of the other values. Okay, so let's just bake it. It will take a time. Okay, so once it's done, let's go back here. Now that we already have our baked textures, we'll be shifting from normal texturing to our material layering settings. Okay, so you have to come up here, the shader setting, and here it's written as the settings that we have opted for when we were starting this project file. Okay, that was a PBR metal rough with alpha blending. It's written as outdated. Okay, we will be clicking on it and we'll be selecting either one of these two. So the first one is PBR material layering and the second one is PBR material layering for 10 materials. Okay, so the first one only have space for 4 materials. If you have more than that, then you can also select the 10th layer ones. Okay, so from here, when you click on this, the basic settings have been shifted. Okay, the other difference that you'll be finding here now is your masking option. You got 3 masks here. Okay, earlier there was no mask, only the material. This one was created. Okay, now the major difference is once you select these options for layers or for material layering different kind of materials, you'll be working on different masks. Okay, so the first one that we'll be selecting is our base. Okay, so to go on the base menu, you have to select here, first click on the material one, then select material and then choose just one of these. whichever you find more relevant with your model. Okay, or let's see the next one. So earlier the issue was arising that when we scale any texture, okay, it seems repetitive, but with this combination it will be much more hidden. Okay, basically it won't be shown as directly that your layers have been duplicating in certain direction. Okay, so here you can simply increase it. If you increase it too much, now you can also see the pattern have been used again, but we don't need that much. We just need as much as its quality will be maintained. Okay, so for the sides you are seeing these things, these kind of lines is basically that we haven't properly UV unwrapped it. Okay, but in most of the cases it will be fine. So let's just move it back to something around 10. Okay, and it's okay if you kind of see that something is repeating, because this is your base layer. It will be start getting covered up with the other layers that will be creating through here. Okay, then on to the next one, we'll be clicking on and adding your okay, maybe this one can work. Okay, right now you're not seeing this, or we can also change this property once we start working with the mask one. So we come up here in the mask one value. Okay, we don't need this layer, so we delete it. We add a new fill. Okay, you have to come down to the blending one and you have to make it white so that it will start appearing on top of your surface. Okay, now we don't want this layer to be on top of whole structure. We just want it to be on the edges. Okay, the partitions or this gap you are seeing right now here, we want it to be stuck between these corners, that basically your rock have been chipped from those edges and the inner layer have been shown. Okay, so for that you'll be coming with your black mask here. In the black mask you have to add first a generator. The generator will be your dirt generator. So once you select it, you will be seeing there is on those corners. Okay, you can fix its value by working with these things. You can make it much more harsh by increasing the contrast. Okay, but basically we want it to be spread it out more evenly. Okay, and sometimes if you're not happy with this one, you want it to be on random places, not the continuous whole lines. For that you have to add a fill. Okay, in the fill we'll be using cloud. Okay, the cloud 3. Now what's happening is this is the top layer, this is the bottom layer. It's not working now, so we have to make that it pass through this layer but only on the places where it's white color. Okay, so basically this is your black and white color values, so you change it to multiply. Okay, so only from the places getting passed through your this dirt layer have been shown. Okay, we can also change it to scale to make it appear much more but still random onto the surface. Or if I select on the linear dodge, both of the layers will be shown. This the corner one, and these are the patches that's getting through it. Okay, or for that particular layer. We can increase the contrast to make it much more darker. Okay, it's basically your personal choice if you find this one much more looking better or the earlier one. Okay, so once you have this, now the main issue is our dust doesn't just stay into these places. Okay, it's also on the bottom of our rock. So for that we'll be adding one more generator that is called your position. So how your position works is you have to come in the mask value. So this white light is where it's working. Right now the dust is showing on the top layer. We want it to be shown on the bottom layer or the bottom of this model. So we have to invert it. We invert it. Now the white texture you can see is in the bottom, and you can come in the material menu. You can see that's now for the lower part. You can increase or decrease the blur, and you can set the size onto the much lower area, okay, and make it much more harsh for that part. To check some balance, which will also pass through the under one. Now it's not letting these two value pass on, okay. Just right now before this position, I've shown you in the cloud how you can show the below two layers. With this one is by selecting on linear dodge. So it's also showing with the under two layers, okay. So all of these layers are working now, and the base, the stone with the dust have been made. Now on to the next part that will be working is the next layer that we have to select. We come up here, we select, and we have to create something like a moss. So I select this material as moss. I change its value to something around 10. Okay. Also for this one you can change it to make it look much more detailed. Okay, just make sure that you don't do it too much or the repetition can start showing off. On to the third layer, that was for your moss. Okay, you come in the mask 2 now. Okay, so mask 1 details have been done. If you start increasing the things here, the layering system will again start working. Okay, and this is the upper layer, so this will start interfering with these two values, so you don't have to combine it here. You can do it separately for this one, and from here again you have to do the same thing. Let this one create a fill layer, increase it, and it will be on top of whole mesh. Now you don't want your mesh or your moss to be on top of whole mesh. Okay, so you have to make a black mask, and you have to define where your masking will be done or where those moss will be remaining. So you come up here and you add a generator called light. Okay, so how the light works is basically it's emitting a light from a particular direction. It's this direction. So if we do it all the way up, the light have been projecting from this direction. So from the top value, every face that have been shown have those textures. Okay, now the main issue is it also changes the texture with respect to light. So wherever your light is much more harsher, your texture looks more bright. Okay, we don't want to create it as opaque or see-through materials. So it's basically again your choice. You can change these settings. So light attenuation, if you decrease it, the light will stop working the same. Okay, so these things are basically bending, that's why they have less moss there, but you can again fix those issues by doing something like this. Okay, and these are all the places where your moss can be stuck, and you can decrease it to make it spread out a little bit more. And you can also create little bit of light attenuation, that some places can be a little bit less brighter. Okay, now that it's been done till here, the least or the last part that I can add on is, now the thing is its edges is not shown as more chalky. Okay, so for the rock type of things, their edges that have been sharply cut have those chalky color or chalky sharpness. Okay, so to create that, again we'll be coming into the material and coming on to the fourth one. The first one was your concrete coarse, so the fourth one will be selecting something else. Let's say we are selecting this one. Okay. And we will coming into mask 3. We'll be changing its value if needed. So again the same thing, delete it, fill layer, making it on the whole object. Okay. And from here adding a black mask now onto your generator. So the generator that will be opting here is metal edgeware, because only on those sharp edges you want it to work on. So once you select it, you will see something like this. Okay. You can also change it by closely watching it and how much wearing of the layer you want and how much sharper you want it to be. Okay. Until here it's done. You can also add other generators to make it look something different kind of look. Okay. And that's all for today's class.